the border.
Okay, it's 11:30.
Well, I basically told them that, previous request
We are ready to start the meeting, and I ask that everybody stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome. I'd like to call the regular board meeting for Thursday, October 12th to order, and I ask for a roll call from the clerk, please.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Morse?
Here.
Mr. Beggs?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here. Thank you. I ask for a motion to approve the budget September 26th meeting that we got today, the minutes, and the regular September 28th meeting minutes. One motion to approve both.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Moved by Mr. Hardy, supported by Mr. Beggs. Are there any questions or comments?
For the budget hearing,
Yes,
this is what we're talking about, right?
yes, both of
For
them.
the workshop. It says, and Ms. Anderson and I talked about this already, has Erickson is absent. So she's, right, you're gonna fix that?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, once you get that pencil copy.
Oh, yeah, so this is what we're,
Yeah.
gotcha, okay, then I'm good.
Then you're good. Any other questions? All in favor of approval, say aye. Thank you. Conflict of interest disclosure regarding agenda items. Do any members have a conflict of interest?
Yeah, I will declare conflict of interest on, motion, 2023-108 on the Sheriff's Department Tahoe, since my company is pursuing that bid.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs.
I will abstain from that vote.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Are there any other conflict of interest disclosures? Hearing none, changes to the agenda. Mr. Morris, respectfully, the annexation of land in the village of Shelby, I believe we are going to take no action on this at this time. Are there any other changes for the board members? Hearing none, approval of the agenda with the one change. Motion, please.
I'll make that motion, Hardy.
Support. Moved by Mr. Hardy, supported by Mr. Erickson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Hardy, 270 grant.
Pardon me.
public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You got me again. Thank you. Are there any public comments at this time? Yes, sir. If you'd step right up and give your name, please.
Yes, pleasure being here. I'm David Borgeson. I'm from Claybanks Township. We have a cottage there that was there for 6 months of the year, May through early November. Weather, I've been quite active with the township, Claybanks Township. I've gone before them on this subject several times over a number of years, and they keep saying that it's a county problem. I'm the one that wrote you with regard to the blight ordinance, and I think some of you, I talked to you over the phone about it. And I used the example that I own a farm in Berry County, 80 acres, and I rent a farmhouse. The most recent renter was a collector of various machines, pickup trucks. He was definitely a collector, bordered on being a hoarder, and he littered the area around the farmhouse. In spite of my urgings, he didn't clean it up. And this only took a short time for him to get things into a real mess. So I went to the county ordinance officer, Mr. Ward. I told him, hey, come and give me a summons or notice. And so he did come and examine my farm, and then in so doing, he looked at the neighbor's farm, who was was also in bad disrepair. And, wrote me a notice to clean up, and I showed it to my renter, and he did a pretty good job of cleaning up. Some people, it's a struggle. But I'm in the natural resources business. I worked my entire career for the Department of Natural Resources and the Fisheries Division, but I'm interested very much so in ordinance, in ordinances that protect natural resources. I welcome that from, and I just discussed it with Mr. Ward. I discussed ordinances at the township level in Muskegon County, which originally a big red from Muskegon. So I know it can be done. And Mr. Walker says that it can't be done. I think that it's a shame I have to say that. It would seem like in government you could, with enough will, get by an obstruction that would keep the county governance from protecting what I consider the most beautiful county in southern Michigan and Michigan generally, from the littering and the landscape destruction of a few people. And like me, a few people, those few people would not mind being saved from themselves. They seriously wouldn't. A proportion of it. My neighbor wasn't, and I wasn't, and everybody within driving distances ends up benefiting from an ordinance. It's a no-lose situation because your property values go up. If you ever try to sell a piece of property that's well kept versus one that's on verges on being a dump, you're talking a lot of serious money. And if you spread that from a township to a county to southern Michigan, many southern Michigans have, or the county says so, it makes a big difference on property values because people find the county a nicer place to be in. I'll tell you, every time I drive into Whitehall or into Hart, I see tobaccos and I thank God I'm able to live. And perhaps you are satisfied with the situation that you can't move on this, and that it's a township responsibility. But government is paid for these things. Government is organized for these things. And government needs to have the will to deal with it. And you can't let even large excuses get in your way. In my state is not going to do it for you. The federal government, for God's sake, you can't even get them on the phone or by letter.
Excuse me.
This is a real pleasure.
Excuse me, Mr. Borgerson, we have a 5-minute time frame.
Well, my 5 minutes is up.
And the five minutes, there will be a chance for comment at the end of the meeting also.
I see.
Oh, there will be. But, for my fellow board members, Mr. Borgerson approached me about this and I received a letter on it. He approached me about the meeting and I told him that, Paul, 18 or 20 years ago was it, the county, Oceana County passed a blight ordinance? Correct. And they cited somebody in Golden Township and the person represented himself, went to court on it and the judge dismissed the case, and the bottom line is we don't have county-wide zoning in Oceana County, and the blight ordinance has come under zoning, and because we don't have county-wide zoning like Mason County has, and I believe Nuevo County have, McCosta. Paul, I'm correct, we can't get into the blight, it goes to the local unit of government. You agree, it has to go back to the township, but.
Police power thing.
Pardon me?
Police power thing. That's what they call it, because we don't have the police power.
We do not have the police powers for it. It was a ruling of the court. No. We can, I'm sure if you call our attorney, they'll tell us the same thing. So,
So it's a similar discussion to the ORV on roadways discussion. That's an individual township, ordinance in the county because of that ordinance, the ordinance ability is within the townships, individual townships, not the county. We aren't involved in that ORV discussion.
well, what happened with that was I was seated on the board at the time that came up, and the state law gave county units of government 45 days to enact ordinances for ORVs on the road. And if they did not enact those ordinances, they referred to the local units of government, being the cities, the villages, and the townships in their own jurisdiction. And the board at that time felt as though that should be a grassroots thing, that we shouldn't be, passing the same regulation for Otto Township as Golden Township and Hart Township. So we let the 45 days exempt, but, expire, but that's what my understanding where we still are. If I'm wrong, I'm certainly willing to take a different look at it, but we've been through this. It was pretty clear, wasn't it, Paul, with what you lived right where that court ruling was.
Gill Lake, yep, Gill Lake took him right to task.
So, but
You
thank
still
you.
got a dump in Shelby.
He still got one, yep, right there at the lumberyard in Shelby, yeah.
So, but, that's my understanding for now, but we will have public comment again at the end of the meeting. But thank you for your comment. Now, Mr. Hart, are there any other public comments? Hearing no other public comment, Mr. Hardy, 270 grant agreement extension.
Motion 2023-103 to approve the grant modification agreement with 2070 for the Oceana County Animal Control to extend the grant through November 1, 2023, and allow the chair to sign.
I'll second that.
Moved by Mr. Hardy, support by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Morris, again, you were assigned to this, but we're going to take no action on the annexation in Shelby at this time. Mr. Beggs, public hearing for budget and property tax millage rates.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make motion 2023-105 to conduct a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget and property tax millage rates to be levied to support the revenue projections and expenditure commitments for fiscal year 2024 on Thursday, October 26, 2023 at 11:30 a.m. in the Board of Commissioners room, Hart, Michigan.
Do we have a support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Moved by Mr. Beggs, support by Mr. Hardy. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Erickson, apportionment report and Form L 4402.
Mr. Chair, I make motion 2023-106 to adopt the proposed resolution 23-11 approving the 2023 apportionment report of Oceana County millage rates as calculated and compiled by the Oceana County Equalization Department and authorizing the Oceana County Equalization Director to complete and sign the Michigan Department of Treasury Form L-4402 to be submitted to the Michigan Department of Treasury in a timely fashion.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Do we have a support?
I'll do that, Morse.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Moved by Mr. Erickson, support by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Morris, motion 2023
Chairman Walker, I make a motion to approve the
Oh, wait.
replacement.
108, 2023 108.
Chairman Walker, I make a motion 2023-108 to approve the replacement of an engine in a 2018 Chevy Tahoe not to exceed $7,300 with the county administrator to make the budget adjustment.
Do we have a support?
I'll support Hardy.
Moved by Mr. Morris, supported by Mr. Hardy. Again, Mr. Beggs has abstained from this, and it should be shown on the record. Any discussion?
I just would like to point out that the increased cost of repairs has grown astronomically in the car repair world, and I know $7,300 sounds like a lot of money, but oh my goodness, I bought a BMW headlight a month ago and it cost $8,000. So to put everything into perspective, honestly, this is an inexpensive repair. When a lot of these deer hits are running $17,000 to $20,000 for a radiator, a couple of headlights, and a grill, and to have the down truck with the upfitting, and I wished it were different. I really do, but we should be able to utilize the engine and you know, get another 6-8 months out of it and get it out of our fleet once we're upfit to a new rig.
Mr. Hardy?
Yeah, just a quick comment, and I know between the two bids, with the $300 cushion, I know that Affordable didn't have an opportunity to look at the vehicle. I know that Mears Service Center has it within $42. I know the vehicle's currently at Mears Service Center, and my recommendation would be to have it done at Mears Service Center. Get it over with. Yeah.
Mr. Morris, are you the only one?
No, I totally support doing, as I said earlier, I don't think we have an option here.
I came in here this morning after looking at this and after going over and getting a copy of all of the vehicles that are assigned to the Sheriff's Department, knowing that there are 3 or 4 Tahoes there already, 3 I think, that are assigned to the Sheriff's Department, and looking at them and looking at the 4-door, 4-wheel drive pickups that a lot of places use for canines and stuff. I was not in favor of this because I was also on the board at the time we went to the fleet management through Enterprise, and this was the reason we did it, to avoid things like this. I think this is very misfortunate that we have it, but Mr. Hardy?
Well, if I may,
I just want to say, Mr. Hardy, if I may, once again, you swayed my thought process when you talked about the resale value of it.
That's what I look at.
This
It's
is
dollars and cents and money saving to the, I mean, the car by itself with no repair to it is a basket of parts. I'm just hoping that we can come out with a little bit more than what we have to put into it. And I was actually shocked when I looked online. I found one that was 110,000 miles, and the price was $30,000. I'm sorry, I haven't looked at new car prices.
Police Tahoe is still used for, most of the departments are trying to get them on the market between 60 and 75,000 miles, and they get a good price for them.
Well,
Anyway.
and see, that falls into what the fire departments have been talking about, is having that turnout vehicle that they can respond to the MFR issues and not have to get a big truck out. This might end up, you know, going to work at another municipality again. It very well could. And yeah, the resale on
I was
this
just more shocked at the resale.
there's $65,000.
It used to be a new vehicle.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Abstain?
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Hardy, payment of claims.
Motion for approval of accounts payable and release of funds for October 12th, 2023. Ambulance fund, $23,136.84. Automation ROD fund total, $2,094.30. In the Indigent Defense Fund, $24,684.99. ARPA Fund total $4,043.52. Department of Veterans Affairs total $5,846.38. Technology and Innovation Fund $5,726.57. Building Department Fund $13,854.93. For a general fund total of $564,569.55, a grand total of $643,957.08.
Do we have a support?
All support.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Moved by Mr. Hardy, support by Mr. Beggs, the payment of claims. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Public comments. Are there any more public comments? Yes, sir. Good morning again.
Couple of things went through my mind, it was given us a lot of thought over the years. One of them would be, trying to take a coordination role to develop, help, the township develop consistent, blight ordinances, either throughout the 16 townships or perhaps 4 townships in a group in terms of making it easier to enforce. The other, that went through my mind was, putting an umbrella over the existing ordinances and adopting them as county or county-wide ordinance. I'm not sure, frankly, that was the two things that went through my mind. I'm not sure all of the townships are zoned, probably not. But those are the kind of ways it occurred to me to get at this. The important thing is, do you really feel that it's something that governance in Oceana County should do? I feel obviously very strongly for it, and I think it benefits from people that do not look after their place, the landscape suffers, and the entire county value drops, property values, and basically the value of the county drops because of it. That's, I don't wanna go any further than that. If you got any.
Mr. Borgeson, what township were you referring to? Is it Claybanks Township? Is the area in Claybanks Township, was the area that you were concerned about in Claybank Township?
No, I'm concerned about it statewide and, and countywide.
Okay.
It's not some particular situation in Claybanks Township,
Okay.
but in driving through the county, and I do just for pleasure, and I know a lot of people do, you come upon these places that are run down, and it's very common to see more than one in a group. It seems like they catch it from each other. So I've had a lot of years to be thinking about this, and my wife and I drive around, so that's.
I would like to tell you from a county level, our county treasurer has been very, very active in land bank, and the land bank has the ability to get grants to clean up blight property at the county level with the approval of the local unit of government, and with the property owner's approval. The property owner has to actually sign off on it. Last round of blight things in the county, because of the work of our county treasurer, she got a $200,000 grant, and we cleaned up 5 properties that were distressed in Crystal Township. Crystal was the only township, only unit of government that applied for them, and she applied and she received a $300,000 grant to clean up properties now moving forward. So if there's any specific place that's really, really a mess in the township where you live or any other township, that local township can make application to the county land bank to get money to clean up that property. We can't legally, pass an ordinance against it, but if the property owner doesn't have the money to clean it up themselves, the land bank at Oceana County can clean it up. So there's some things that we can do. So,
Are you okay with me addressing?
Pardon me?
Are you okay with me addressing our?
yes, it is.
Okay, and I, just to piggyback on what Chairman Walker was saying, there's also a MTA group here formed in our county that has been gaining traction and gaining, it's the Michigan Township Association, or I guess it's Michigan, right? Of Oceana County, and there's a bunch of officials from the townships getting together every other month. And one of the topics of conversation has been blight, about how to address it at the township level, because he's right, we can't address it at the county level, but how we can address it at the county level is by supporting the townships in that, in those efforts.
Yeah.
And so I see I'm hopeful for some progress in that area, because the townships are talking about it with each other. I'm right there with you.
It seems to
Blight
me
is an
that
issue.
that coordination at the township level would work.
That's the best way to go about it, I think.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
hoping it takes root.
Who chairs the Oceana?
Raffaelli.
Richard, the Shelby Township Supervisor chairs that. So you could reach out to Shelby Township and ask when their next meeting is for the Township Association. And you might find some good information if you go to the next meeting. So contact them. Good thought, Mr. Morse, thank you.
Yeah, the enforcement officer in northwestern Muskegon County has 4 townships that he takes care of. I don't know how the guy in Berry County does all of his, but he said he had 128 different situations he was working on. It can be done, and I think the county was involved in the coordination that would be, could be done.
Thank you for your
Mr.
comment.
Walker, thank all of you for what you do, and maybe I'll see you another time.
You're welcome anytime, sir. Reports from the commissioners. Mr. Beggs?
2 things. One, our resolution that we passed, opposing the, proposed septic system, legislation. I attended a road commission meeting yesterday, and was a lot of asking about that, and, the road commissioners were very interested to hear about that. I also learned that the MTA spent a fair amount of time, but I would recommend, I reached out to all the townships that I report to, and just kind of encourage them to maybe take up that matter as well. They also informed me that MTA has talked about it. But just maybe an encouragement to you guys. I did see in our supplemental packet that there's now a push to pull all local control from wind and solar farms to a state of Michigan public entity, which again removes control, removes a neighbor's voice from being concerned about those. So I think we have another resolution to look at for our next meeting, and also try and blast that information out to our constituents.
If I can comment, Mr. Beggs, they also want to regulate personal solar panels on personal houses and personal wind turbines.
Wow.
They want to, not only the farms, they want to regulate all of them. And big surprise, it's coming out of southeast Michigan.
Right. There
Mr.
appears
Hardy?
to be an assault on rural Michigan.
Did you have anything else for us, Mr. Beggs?
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Mr. Hardy?
Just a couple things. We had a week ago, had a 911 personnel committee meeting, and we talked about the sheriff's department shortage of personnel, kind of the same thing, that looking for ways to retain employees at 911, taking a look at the wages, inflation, and everything else. One of the things I will mention is they were kind of on a fixed 3-year schedule, and this hasn't been approved by the full board yet, but at the, financial committee meeting yesterday, there was supposed to be in 2024 a 3% raise, and one of the commissioners from Mason County that sits on the board requested that be changed to 5%, which the board agreed to forward on to the full board at some point. But it's an issue. I mean, and we know that with other departments as well, but specifically with 911, that's all kind of a long learning curve. It's extremely difficult to get part-time help there. Again, it's even more difficult to full-time help. But that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Mr. Morris?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to report today.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Mr. Morris, how did the tour go of the? With
Yeah.
the economic? I was out of town, and so that did not work for me.
Yeah, Developer Day, it was awesome. It was really cool. We had a nice lunch at the research station, and had a few people come stand up and share for a little bit. And there was ended up being 35 people on the bus at any given time. So that was, it was really, really nice. I think that's what the number was. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really, really a good time. It's going to become an annual thing.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Morris.
Can I say just one thing about that?
Yes, please.
Well, so somebody I was talking to that has some construction company he was representing out of Grand Rapids, some developing company, was looking at, he asked me very specifically about one of our buildings, the one in Hart, the vacant one up behind,
Farm Bureau?
yeah. And, he asked specifically, hey, he said specifically, that's an appealing property for us, to do some sort of, housing. So, yeah, I was encouraged by that.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Morris. Mr. Erickson?
Yeah, I went to Colfax, had a very good meeting out in Colfax last week. Dave Leonard does a great job out there. They were very concerned over the septic issue, and I assured them that, our board had done what it can do, and District 10 had done what it can do, and, I'm wondering if all these efforts with resolutions will be listened to, and if it will make a change with that. I'm pretty uncertain about that. Went to Levitt, very small meeting at Levitt Town Hall the other evening. They're having a little trouble putting their website back together, trying to get online, get their minutes and their agendas online. But, if anybody's gone to Levitt lately, the only running water they've got out there is in the spring. So, this is true too. Yeah.
It wasn't very many years ago, they weren't alone there.
I know, but, yeah, Levitt, has done tremendous things with their, township park at, Campbell Lake. So if you're ever out that way, headed to Hesperia, it's very, very nice what they've done at Campbell Lake, in Levitt Township. I did miss a meeting this week, Tuesday, but we did celebrate at our Historical Society our volunteers, our annual volunteer, and it was our 150th anniversary this year in Mears, and we also had our Golden Parade. So we wrapped up our 150, and if you go through Mears, you'll see a brand new barn going up across the street from Swift Lather's house, and that is part of our historical complex in Mears. And on our fairgrounds is the president of the fair board. I'm proud to announce that we are hosting riders and horses for the Shoreline Ride the month of November. On the dunes, we're working in conjunction with the Department of Natural Resources, Sequestering Division, and the DNR will be up in Oceana County. We're holding their quarterly meeting at the Hart Community Center this year, and they'll be exploring the possibility of opening up the William D. Field Memorial Trail to horses from Hart to Montague.
Anything else for us?
Nope.
So I should have thought this through before you asked the question. Tuesday night, the sheriff presented at the Oceana GOP meeting too, about an hour presentation about his experience down at the border, and very eye-opening. Nice to hear somebody that, you know, was there on boots on the ground, and, you know, we know them, and it was very interesting. I encourage you to pick his brain about it, next time you see him.
Thank you. Amy, do you have anything for us?
In the process of interviewing for the open position in my office. So,
And as pointed out, thank you for catching the glitch in the resolution on annexation. That's a big issue.
That's a big,
That's a big issue.
if they thought the pipes were laid and the pipes were not laid, that's big.
So thank you for that, Amy.
you're welcome.
Tracy, do you have anything for us?
Just wanted to piggyback on the developer day. Curtis Burdette did mention, he came in and talked to me about it and said that they would like to do it again next year, but also suggested that maybe when they go to each of the areas that maybe commissioners would be involved and be able to meet up with the people that are on the bus and talk a little bit about their areas or whatever.
You know, and I get it, and I understand, and I don't disagree. But all I'm gonna do is raise up 5 fingers.
Yep.
You know, we all talk about one more meeting, one more day. It's not easy. It's not easy with 5 members.
My 5 figures of the amount of county meeting, related
You
to
can take your
county
shoes
business, this week so far.
The second week.
It's a handful. I have nothing, for your group, Phil, Valley City Metals are requesting the 198 industrial tax certificate. They're starting to work on it now.
I'm not sure what that is.
Doesn't that go through the village of Shelby though?
No, that's through the village of Rockford. That's Kurgel Iron.
Oh,
They moved.
Kurgel,
Yeah, oh, they moved.
They have
two sites.
they have the machine shop, but they are requesting, you know, going to be requesting, they started the process to request it's a reduction in their property taxes for industrial facilities.
Gotcha.
Industrial facility property tax exemption, I think is what they call it, Act 198.
Yeah, it's an IFT, so
Yeah.
and that's a 12-year reduction.
50% for 12 years.
Yeah, but it's-
Up to 50%.
But it's not across the board for all the taxes, I don't think it impacts the school, there's some that it does. My son's Alex business over in Industrial Park, when we applied for the IFT. I think if you're expanding or doing that, can be put into it, but I believe that would go through then the village itself actually has to pass the IFT itself, so.
It has been in effect probably since the 80s or so, and a lot of big industrial, you know, groups have taken advantage of it. But it used to be that everybody got 50%, but now most of the units of governments are putting performances on that. You only get so much if you have to create so many jobs for how much you get.
Okay.
So.
But it's still a good deal if you're trying to entice the business owner to expand.
Okay.
I mean, you get some feedback, well, you know, geez, why, I own a gas station down the street, why don't I get a tax break? Well, you're trying to, as an industry, try to create more jobs, pay more money, and expand. It certainly helps. So,
Okay.
and they'll have some public hearings on it.
So it's essentially a tax break for industrial companies.
Yeah, and it's for manufacturing, it is not,
Right.
manufacturing processing, not for retail anymore.
Right.
Originally it was retail, but they've done away with that. Years ago they did
But in
away.
reality, it does help the retail operations because, again, anytime you bring more people in and pay more wages, so there's a benefit as well.
Thanks.
Is there anything else to come before the board? Thank you, board members. Mr. Beggs, thank you. And we will adjourn. And the reason I'm thanking Mr. Beggs is I did it privately earlier. did. He stood right up and declared a conflict of interest, and he stayed out of the discussion and that, and thank you for that, Mr. Wright.
I'll go order a motor.
I
couldn't believe how many premieres
I got piles of them.
Oh my
Is the
God.
board,
I got piles.
do I sign this one?
I can mileage you want.
Try to order a new one.
Board?